What is up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the LA Soccer Hub Show. My name is Gio Garcia. Today we have an awesome show. We have an amazing show, lots to get into. Unfortunately, the home opener for LAFC LA Galaxy did not go through. And me personally, I'm happy it didn't go through because of the weather. The weather sucks out here in LA. It is still raining. It is the Monday afterwards. I don't know when the rain is supposed to stop. We've been getting nonstop rain here in LA. And typically it rains a lot during these months, but when we get our rain, we get it all at once. So I guess it's good that we got the rain, but it's unfortunate that we couldn't play the game. And I look, we got a free ticket to go to the game, right, Andy? But I don't want to be I don't want to watch a wet game. Let me cold. And look, you can call me soft. You can say whatever you want. We're used to warm weather. This is a big game. This game deserves to be played at least in better weather. If it's not the sun, at least better weather. It doesn't need to be played wet. But first of all, welcome to the show. Hopefully you had a great first week. Tell me how your weekend was, and then we'll get into everything else.
Yeah, man. The weather. I know people are looking at it like, "What? LA rain and this and that," but it's just not pretty. The day before on Friday, I was outside and I was like, we had already talked about in the last show how they canceled that event that they had planned for that Friday, and I was like, something about this is just not looking well. And I was walking and I was like, man, this is bad. And then I saw the postponed and I was like, oh, this is good sign. Which led me to be able to Saturday just be in the house all day and just watch MLS Season Pass. And I think that for us here in LA, it was like a blessing in disguise because we'll get into it a little later with the logistics of everything. But I think it was just cool to be able to just kind of like relax and say, hey man, I'm just gonna tap into all these different games. So yeah, it was fun. It was a good time.
Yeah, look, there was so much leading up to this game on Saturday because Friday the MLS was going to have an event where head coach Steve Shona was going to talk, head coach Greg Vanny from LA Galaxy was going to talk. Supposed to be this amazing event. Canceled. I was like, there's a possibility that this may not go through. And my brother, who helps me do photography or for the games, he hits because he's coming from Phoenix. He hits me up. He's like, "Hey, do you think this game's gonna be canceled?" And I was like, I don't know. They would have canceled it by now because I did a Twitter Spaces on Friday with Michele, and like that morning nothing was canceled. And then like right after that, I think an hour after the Twitter Spaces, then that's when you started seeing that it got canceled, or whatever. So I called my brother. I was like, "Yo, just stay. Don't even don't even come." He's like, "Do you think they're gonna play it Sunday?" I was like, "No, I don't think they'll play it on Sunday. Like it's just if they're canceling it, they're canceling it." And it was just like because we're seeing the rain just nonstop pour. And I'm just like, this game should not be played like this. Like, I don't know. And then it started hailing on Saturday. It was hailing on Saturday. And for those people that were complaining, look, I know if you traveled far to come here and wanted to watch it, but look, I think also on the business side aspect, Andy, like the stadium was going to be empty. I don't care if you bought a ticket like that sits like 90,000 people. I don't know if we'll get to that record. We'll see July 4th. Maybe we'll get to that, close to something like that. But there's probably going to be, with all that rain, maybe 30,000 people on those seats, 20,000. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that? Because there's so much that I guess the league had to go into. And, if you see a stadium, we're not used to like the rain and stuff like that. Maybe if you're talking to the East Coast or something like that. But like people in LA, people in Southern California are not going to want to watch a game being wet. I don't know. That's just unless it's a championship game or something like that. But give me your thoughts on that.
Yeah, no, it makes sense from the league's perspective. I mean, obviously, there's like all the safety measures that they have to go through, and they were trying to say thunder and this and that. But when it comes down to it, a lot of their decision probably was based on the fact, like, hey, this is going to really affect attendance. You think if you've been to the Rose Bowl, if you know the area, I mean, it's called a bowl for a reason. So the water was going to stay at the bottom and kind of sink through. It's not the most ideal place to get to, and I know there was videos floating around of like just mud all over the place outside of the venue. So it's definitely a no-brainer because I don't think like the weather in Pasadena is a little different from LA itself. It does get warmer in the summer. It does get colder in this time of the year. So it was going to be really cold. And you're right. You don't have anywhere in that stadium to kind of just like shelter and hide. You were just going to be out in the elements. And if it's just raining, obviously it's going to affect the game. If it was windy, we talked about it as well in the preview. Like everything would have just been sloppy. So it was smart. It was smart for them to cancel that. And I think we mentioned it, like having, like it was a great thought having El Trafico be the first, game one for both of these teams because of the new Apple deal. But I don't know how much I like having a rivalry game as the opening game of their season. You know what I mean? Like, it's a great energy going into it, but the fact that it got postponed, I'm like, it's not the worst thing for both teams when you factor in the Chicharito injury, when you factor in that both teams are still trying to kind of fill their rosters out. I'm like, you know what? I'm not mad that this got pushed to July 4th. It's going to be so much better all around.
Yeah, I'm with you on that as well because look, I think Thursday Chicharito broke his own news that he was not going to play. He wasn't going to play on Saturday, and I think when you start looking at that, you don't have one of the biggest stars to play, and I think to me, look, this is Chicharito's last year on contract. I think this is Carlos Vela's last year on contract. We should try to get as many. Look, I know there's 11 players that play on each team. Let me say that out there. I know. But when you have superstars of this caliber, Mexican superstars, who once used to be teammates and everything, we should, I think as fans, as media, anything, we should try to get as many games as we can. Look, if a player is available, both players are available, we should try to get as many games, Carlos Vela, Chicharito games that we can, because, that's what, being here in Southern California, that's what's going to sell the most, and that's what people want to watch. I want to watch that. I know you want to watch that. And I know the league wants to put that on Apple TV. So it's unfortunate that the game wasn't going to happen, but I was like, you know what? Hopefully the game's going to be July 4th, Tuesday, July 4th, this summer. And excuse me, and I think that's a great idea because it just gives you time. It's going to be warm. It's going to be sunny, or you at least it's not going to rain in July 4th. You're going to get fireworks. One thing for sure, Apple is going to get fireworks no matter what happens that day, no matter who's playing, they're going to get fireworks. And I think it's a smart thought. Give me your thoughts on them relocating that to July 4th.
Yeah, it was smart by MLS. I was trying to, when it got postponed, trying to quickly do the math in my head and look at the calendars and say, when is feasible for them to have this game? Because you have to remember, LAFC starts CONCACAF Champions League in a few weeks. And the longer they get into that tournament, the more games, the more the calendar gets condensed. So I knew it would have had to been in the summer, at least any time in the summer or after. And it just makes so much sense. The Galaxy always hosts the 4th of July game in Carson. It's a pretty cool event. I mean, I think it's for the people that enjoy going to watch soccer. It's the 4th of July, go out with the family. It's not like as much else happening in sports besides our patriotic country showcasing hot dog eating contest on ESPN. So it's a beautiful time for people to just go out and just hang out, have a good time. Like you said, the fireworks show is included. Now, for you to have a game of this magnitude at that venue on that day, I think it's awesome. I think the attendance will boost for sure. Now, we don't know what happens from here to July with the boycotts, with everything that's going on, teams, injuries, whatever the case may be. But I think it just adds so much to that intrigue. And then you have to realize they're still going to have to play the other two games, one in Dignity Health Sports Park and one at the Bank anyway. So it does make sense because I think that the week that they were supposed to play St. Louis on the 4th of July, the Galaxy,
4th, yeah.
They moved that to the September 10th. And then that week that they moved that St. Louis game to, that weekend is another Trafico. I think that one's at the Bank. So it's pretty cool. Like the schedule, we talked about how congested it may be, but I think MLS maybe been thinking about this when they saw the weather was going to be, kind of bad here. And I think it was a great contingency plan. I think it makes the most sense, and it's going to be fun, man. The way we talked about this first game being fun, moving away the weather factors, I think this one's going to be a blast.
Yeah, we'll see. Maybe this potentially could be a yearly thing between LAFC and LA Galaxy. If it's at the Rose Bowl every year, you have one game at the Rose Bowl, or it could be a SoFi, whatever. I love this idea that there's at least one game in a neutral location, and I think we've been to as many games, many Traficos, and sometimes when you can only fit up to what I think Dignity fits up to 30,000, or what I think BMO now fits up to, was it 22, 23? I forget. But if you have an opportunity to fit as what's the record? 74,000.
74,000. Yep.
Yeah, if you have a place like, you go down the street to go to Pasadena, you have an opportunity to get up to 90,000 fans in there. If you even go to SoFi. I like this idea. Hopefully we'll see what happens moving forward, but hopefully this could potentially be a yearly thing. I just want to see how it is. I think having it played in July 4th, you get a real feel for how it could really be. You know what I'm saying? I don't think Saturday we would have got an opportunity to see what it really could have been, and this game deserves to break that MLS the MLS attendance record, and I think it really has the opportunity to do so. So July 4th, I mean, I'm looking forward to it. I'm excited for that. I was thinking, I was like, I was like 5 months from now, this is gonna be a long time before now. But the good thing is, if you bought tickets, if you bought parking pass, everything's going to be transferred over. You're not going to lose your money, you're not going to lose anything. And I think, obviously, I think that's what we all expected. So I think it's exciting. So we'll see. Would you like to see this at a neutral venue moving forward?
Yeah, I think the only argument, and I think that is the plan going forward for both teams. I think the only argument to it is they would have to probably play 3 times a year, unless this is the way I see it. I would still stick to them just playing twice and say, hey, sure, it's kind of a neutral site, but this year the Galaxy are hosting at the Rose Bowl. Next year, LAFC would probably be hosting at the Coliseum if I had to bet, because it just makes sense location-wise. And
Man, yep, that's a good call.
But then I wouldn't add 2 more so that either team gets one at the bank and one at Dignity Health Sports Park, because I think 3 times is a lot. Then you factor in maybe Leagues Cup, they might see each other. U.S. Open Cup is a possibility, they might see each other. The playoffs always a possibility they see each other. So I think that's where the logistics get a little bit shaky. But I would be down for like, hey, we're gonna have you host a game. Sure, do it at the Coliseum. But then I know that I keep saying the bank, that BMO Stadium or whatever we want to call it. They're probably trying to be like, hey, we should have a home game here. And I do get it. It's a soccer-specific stadium. They both want to have, in their homes. But I think when you think about the concept of what this game is, what this rivalry has done and grown over the past 5 years, and how it's kind of just on a different level, I think that having it at these venues is awesome. So I think they should continue. And I think Rose Bowl will be it's like you said, it's a perfect way to start. Because of the history the Galaxy have there, because of the magnitude of that venue, and now you push it into the summer where people probably are going to be a lot more adamant about going and excited about going to hang out a day in Pasadena. I think it's going to be great.
Yeah, you make a great point. I wasn't even thinking about the Coliseum, LA Coliseum. It's very set up, very similar to the Rose Bowl. So yeah, that could be a one-off. And three games, 3 regular season games could potentially be a lot, because you mentioned everything else that they could potentially face each other and other tournaments and all these other things. And I think, to me, you make a lot of great points there. We'll have to see what happens moving forward. But look, what I will say, man, is MLS now with the Apple TV deal has been amazing. We got to enjoy it. I got to see a couple games on Saturday. Even yesterday, watched a little bit of the Sounders game, and I think today we got, what was it, Portland SKC? Is that who's playing today? Yep. So they also had to move their game because of weather. But I love this. I love this Apple TV deal. Everything. So far from what I've seen, and I think we all have been waiting to finally have MLS under one network, under one roof, and be able just to go from game to game to game. And then now that they also have the MLS 360 show, it's amazing. I think this is what we've all wanted for a number of years, especially the people that have been watching the league grow every single year, and we finally got it. Shout out to Apple, shout out to MLS for doing it. Look, it was weekend 1. It was the first time doing it. Yeah, there's things that can improve. There's going to get better. But to me, there's a lot of. I'm not even worried about that. I'm just excited that we finally have everything under one roof. Give me your thoughts.
That's the right mentality to have. I think it's funny just kind of seeing people's comments over the weekend and seeing complaints. And I'm like, man, you know how long it took? 27 years to be exact, 28, to get to this point for MLS. Of course, things are not going to be perfect on week 1, and they're not going to be perfect on week 10 or maybe by the end of the season. But that's the space you have to grow. That's the space that Apple granted MLS. But yeah, just to take a step back and realize how far the league has come, and that they finally have something like this where everything is centralized, everything is easy. I think it's super accessible. I think it's not hard to figure out. Like, it's really simple to move around and use it. I think a lot of people had concerns about, maybe it will be a little difficult for people that are not used to Apple or people that are not used to these streaming services, but that is not the case whatsoever. And what stood out to me, honestly, the first thing is just the quality. And I know we talked about the cameras and the production, but like, what the hell were we watching MLS on before, man? Like, I saw so many jokes of people saying it looked like we were watching through foggy cameras and all this. I'm like, yo, the quality is unreal. It's like, it's so crisp. And I think that type of stuff just is a little details that are going to take this to a different level. I mean, the quality, the camera, the sound. I thought it was a perfect balance of being able to hear fans in the supporter sections. And I think it really came through in that first game, Nashville NYCFC, where you heard the Nashville supporter section the whole time, but it wasn't too overpowering. You still could hear the commentators on that broadcast. So I think it looks clean. I think it's awesome. I mean, I'm all in on it, and I always say this: the people that complain and that are on the fence, they're going to remain on that side. I think the people that are obviously enjoying this are the ones that that really do enjoy this league, and B, have followed it. But not only that, I think there is an opportunity to get new people to come in, and if you could try it, if you like it, sure, and if you don't, whatever. Like I mentioned earlier this weekend in the tweet, like there's going to be 6 free games every week. Like you don't even need a subscription to be able to watch this. So the excuse that people are making, oh well, I may not be able to watch my local team and things like that, those are valid reasons. Like it's not, unless you have a subscription, but there's going to be chances for people to watch games, and there's still going to be games on Fox throughout the season, bigger matchups. So I mean, I think this has been a home run so far for MLS and Apple.
Yeah, look, as you can see, the Apple TV here, as you am I scrolling by, it's really, to me, it's really amazing that we have this even on game day. You could just go scroll to different things. Look, you could click on your favorite clubs or everything. Like in the game, obviously that's today, Portland versus Kansas City. You just click on it, go to game. And look, I enjoy it. I love it, and I think it's an exciting time for the league. It's an exciting time for everybody. And look, I know. And you mentioned the point of, there's going to be six games a week that are free, even if you don't have a subscription. And I think it just makes everything so much easier for everybody else. Look, there's always going to be someone that's going to complain and not like it, or it's too expensive and this and that. But you got to start off somewhere. You start off somewhere, and then you shift, you adjust, and you improve. It was weekend one. To me, like I said, I was excited. I was glad we got us. I was glad I could just hop on one app and see all the games and see, or just go watch the 360 show, which we wanted to see. I know some people said there was too many commercials or they talked too much. I was like, it's weekend one. They're gonna get better. I promise you, they're gonna get better. So I'm not really gonna critique anything. But I just very much applaud MLS and everything that they've done, because to me, this is what we've always wanted to see, this quality. And you mentioned the thing before, I think, where the games were on Fox or Univision and all that, they would only show the games on 7p, and all the games are on 1080p. You could tell the difference. I don't know if you've noticed it, but even on the MLS's Instagram, the highlights that they post, they're quality highlights. They're not like terrible highlights. Like, I don't know, like last year they were like 780p. The quality was just poor. But like, there's a standard now with Apple. Like, hey, we're one of the biggest companies in the world. We're gonna make sure the quality, the standard is to what we like. And I think that's what the MLS had been missing. Now you have all these different camera angles, and you mentioned about the audio and everything. Everything's quality. Everything as how it should be. I think I was watching, was it Thiago Almada's highlights, and it was just like, man, this is what I'm used to seeing in the NBA. This is what I'm used to seeing in the NFL, and baseball. But like the MLS, and now that we have that, it's just amazing, and just kudos to them. Anything else that you saw this weekend from MLS or that you enjoyed that I didn't hit on?
Yeah, and I feel like it makes these stadiums look so much cooler. I mean, they already are cool because I've been to a few of them and I've enjoyed experiences. But like when Sebastian Driussi scores that goal in Q2 and you see everybody go crazy, when Thiago Almada scores those goals in Atlanta and you see the Benz wild, like every stadium looked, and they had, the perfect amount of shots in the crowd and kind of like giving you overhead looks, and it just looks like such a better product all around. And it is. That's the thing. That's like, I was literally watching MLS on one TV and watching the Colombian League on the other TV. And I'm like, this soccer is so bad in Colombia right now. And I'm like, the quality is on par in MLS right now with this new deal, with the quality of the game. Like, these teams are playing good soccer. It's not like before, where the argument people had was, oh, the soccer in MLS is boring and this and that. Like, it's fast now. It's physical. You can see tactical ideas. You can see evolution in the game. I mean, there's just so much going on. And I think now that this quality that Apple is bringing to the project is so, A1 in all facets, it's just going to match the intensity of what these players are trying to do. Like, these are, some really, really good players on these fields. And now I think they're getting the treatment they deserve.
Yeah, you hit on a lot of points. Yeah, because I think anytime you can share quality highlights, people are just going to respect it a little bit more. Because before, like I said, where everything was on 720, and when you transfer and you keep downloading and reposting that or that highlight, the quality starts to get worse and worse. And look, if you have Apple TV, if you have an iPad, or if you have your phone, you can watch. I'm assuming you can watch 3 different games all at the same time, right?
Yep, yep.
You have different setups, and I think that's the versatility that we didn't have before last season. To me, I think it's exciting that we have all these different opportunities as much as we can, and just be able to share it and stuff. And now I'm getting the notification on my app about just different things. I think the only thing, I guess, if you're an Android user, I don't know how that experience is, because you're obviously, I don't think you have Apple on your phone. So I don't know how that they can get around that, or you can log in. I don't know. I don't know. Do you have an Android? Do you have an
I do, but I was using Apple TV on my TV, and I have a work iPhone as well. So I haven't tried it on my actual phone, and I probably should to see how it is. But I had a few people that mentioned that to me this weekend on Twitter about having an Android and logistics and difficulties there, which is hopefully they get that even ironed out. I think it has to do something with the mobile web. They have to access it there, or they could download an app on the phone. But I'm sure they're gonna try to make that a good experience as well too. They're not gonna try to leave those people out, because believe it or not, there are still a lot of us out here in this world navigating the Android.
Yeah, I think that's to me, I think that's the biggest hurdle, but I'm pretty sure they'll figure it out one way or the other, to be able to access that, because you have an enormous amount of consumers that that want to watch. And I really is an Apple customer, and has the opportunity to watch it. So if you have an opportunity to watch on your phone, it's always, to me, like sometimes you don't always, you're on the road, or you're doing something, or you're at work, you're taking a break, and you want to catch up some highlights or something like that. The phone is always the best way, and hopefully they're able to figure that out. Your thoughts on the 360 show? How much did you watch it? What were your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I was tapped in. I was tapped into 360. I think since it started, really, and watched it the majority of the day. Like I said, I had 2 TVs going, so when I finally got bored of the Colombian League, I put the 360 on one screen, and then I put the main game I was watching, which was the Revs, of course, Revs in Charlotte, on my main screen. I thought the 360 was good. I think that obviously the commercial thing is going to bug a lot of people, and I think there were a lot of commercials. But the way I see it is there were going to always be commercials. I don't think that should be a surprise to anybody. I think that the problem is everybody's comparing it with NFL Red Zone,
Yep.
or CBS Que Golazo show. And I'm like, you have to realize this is a little different, because MLS and Apple invested a lot in these personalities, and in BWP and Sasha, and people that are going to be in studio weekly to be part of the show. Like, I do understand the concept of like, don't talk as much. But I'm like, these are literally personalities that they hired to speak, like, and they're going to speak. That I think that the concept of them watching the game, and kind of us seeing them watching the game and then hearing them instead of the game, is where it gets a little tricky. But I'm not mad at the amount of speaking that they did, because that's what they're there for. Like, MLS got people that have played in the league for people to hear their voices. Now, like you said, it's going to evolve and it's going to change, and sure, they'll do some things differently, but if you want to hear the announcer, just watch the game. Like, you could just go watch that game instead of watching 360. I think things will evolve and look better as time comes, but I enjoyed it. I really did enjoy it. I feel very bad for them, because that's a long day that they have to be in that studio.
Oh, yeah.
And it's a lot of switching around, but they were, back to the point of the weather in LA, they were really lucky this week that Taylor Twellman happened to be in studio, because he was supposed to call the Rose Bowl game. And since it got postponed, he flew back to New York and hopped in the studio when he's in there for 6 hours or whatever he was on, and it's Taylor. Like, he came in like a jolt of energy and kind of changed the atmosphere of the show. And I was like, that's kind of cool, but it's not going to happen obviously every week, because he's going to be on the road calling these games. And I'm like, how long and consistent is it for them to be able to, like, okay, we have to bring somebody else, maybe a special guest, maybe a interview. And I know they had interviews with Benny Feilhaber and I think a few other players from around the league, or former players. But I feel like after a while, it's so long that you're just like, okay, like, we need a little bit of like an atmosphere change, or like a different, And I think, once again, like, I think this is a trial run. First week, they're probably very like buttoned up. So I think we will see them get a little more loose and change up. But overall, I thought it was dope. I thought the chemistry was good. I thought they all brought pretty good analysis. And once again, you have a place that you could just watch and see everything going on in MLS. It's unreal. I will say, to this point, people like us that go to the stadium to cover the league fans that go to these stadiums as, to cheer, to be able to have this to go back to and be like, hey, we're going to, maybe when we get home, watch something here on MLS, maybe not 360, but this other stuff that's available, or replay the match or replay certain matches. It's a game changer, man. It's going to make things easier for us to go back and see things, going to make things easier for fans to do that. But no, I think 360, the concept to me of red zone has always been the elite thing in sports. Like, I don't know how every league, every entity has tried to replicate something like that. It's just so practical and so smart.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I think to me that's the exciting part of what Apple TV has done, and I think it's exciting what they do. And I think, look, yeah, you mentioned the point of Taylor Twellman not being every week. Obviously, look, anytime you work your first day on the job, you got to build some chemistry, and I think it's gonna take some time for them to build up some chemistry and find out who the personalities are and everything like that. But yeah, no, to me it's exciting. And you mentioned another point. Before this game was delayed, I was already looking forward to being like, okay, I can't wait to watch El Trafico live, but I can't wait to catch it how it looks on Apple TV, because being there at the stadium, right, it's an amazing experience, but also being at home in TV, it's another experience, right? You want to see how it looks and how looking forward to watching the game live and watching the game again. I don't know if you do that, but there's certain games that I'm like, I know I was there, but being at the game, you miss certain things that you wouldn't get. Being at home in TV, you literally get everything. And say this player gets injured or something's going on, like the broadcasters are communicating you like, hey, he got injured or this happened. When you're in the press box or wherever we're at or at the stadium as a fan, you don't really get that insight that sometimes, and you don't know what happened or this or that, So I was really looking forward to watching the game. But now seeing it, this weekend and tonight, I'm glad we have a game tonight. And I also wonder if they're gonna do it. Obviously, once the NFL kicks off again, I guess the biggest thing is to have games, on specific nights, right? Like they had last night against Sunday night, which was Sounders versus the Rapids. I wonder if they have that, if they can have a game like that every week, where it's a special night where everybody's watching this game, right? This big game or whatever like that, and how the scheduling will be with everything. Obviously Monday, because of the weather in Portland, they had to switch it to Monday. But look, we're going to have 3 days of MLS. I kind of like it.
No, it is that. I mean, it's an NFL schedule, really, when you think about it, 3 days a week. And that is, I think the main point is, and I've said this so many times during the offseason, the fact that they changed all of this crazy scheduling and they actually, have it on a set line. Like, it was wild at one point on Saturday to watch 360, and it felt like that portion of red zone where everybody's just scoring and you're just seeing all these goals left and right. And it's like, yeah, that happens in MLS a lot. Like, people score in 80th minute plus all the time, but because there's these start times that are uniform now, we saw it all at once, and we're like, oh, Atlanta scored, oh, DC scored, oh, goal in Austin, like, and you're like, whoa, what is going on here? But it's so cool because they got these start times all aligned, and I think that having that on a Saturday, it's gonna blow things out of the water, because, like, obviously when football starts, college football is a thing that Saturday dominates, but people that are not fans of college football and that are fans of soccer now have this MLS experience. They have Premier League in the morning. It's gonna be, I mean, if you want to waste your whole day, I don't want to say waste, but if you want to spend your whole day watching soccer, you could. But the fact that you have that every Saturday, this is what you're gonna get, and you're gonna get all these teams and all these games and this analysis, like, I'm like, man, this is it. I don't know why it just didn't happen faster, but it's such a cool experience, man.
Yeah, I'm surprised. I was literally thinking that yesterday. I'm surprised, like, why ESPN or Fox Sports didn't do this quicker, and I'm kind of glad it didn't happen. I'm glad that Apple was able to do it, because look, certain things happen for a reason, and Apple could put all their intention on MLS and make it better, opposed to like ESPN or Fox Sports. Maybe they're already on the NBA and NFL and stuff like that. They don't want to put all their resources, and I'm glad a big company like Apple can put all their resources, and this is how we're gonna do it. We're gonna invest all this money, and we're gonna drive this, and this is our league, and we're gonna make it grow. So it's cool. I'm happy that this happened. Talk to me about some of the goals, something that you saw, something that stood out to you from weekend one. We don't have to go through every game, but something that stood out to you, because there was a lot of surprises. Your Austin FC, unfortunately, did not come out on top. I was watching that game. I was like, okay, they're gonna finish the tie, and then St. Louis ended up winning it. But give me what stood out to you in this weekend one.
Yeah, I was gonna wear my Austin jersey, but I'll save that for later down the road. I think the biggest thing was St. Louis, man. I mean, I don't know what the record looks like, but I don't think expansion teams typically win their first game, nevertheless on the road. I think them and LAFC have been the only teams to do that. I'm not positive, but I saw something like that. But listen, man, Q2 since Austin has come into the league I've been there 3 times already for games. It's
Stadium is
unreal.
insane.
The experience I mean, to me right now it's the best in the league, but I can't say that because I haven't been to all of them. But it's up there for sure. For a team that's brand new to go into a stadium like that is already a lot. For that St. Louis to play the way they did in that game, to really actually kind of show, ideas of, hey, like this is what we want to do. We're not going to be scared of anybody. And I always think it's funny because with them, and I like to say Charlotte a lot last year too, like you look at the roster and you're like, none of these names particularly stand out. And you're like, what are they going to do? But you're playing against a team that is like, hey, expectations are already not that high for us. We got to go in and just play and fight and do it. And they did it, man. Like they put on a very solid performance against a team that it's favored to be at the top of the league. So I think St. Louis is, the story of week 1. Thiago Almada, we mentioned those 2 goals. I mean, it's just everybody was like, we need to enjoy him while he's here because in the summer he might not be. I'm like, he's unreal, but Atlanta did not look good in that game, and he's like, you know what? Let me just turn up in these last few minutes, and went crazy. And I think that Philly and Seattle deserve a shout because it's a little bit of what you kind of expect from teams like that are really good. Philly is expected to be MLS Cup favorite, support a shield, and kind of fight for everything that they're in. And more so Seattle. I know they're playing Colorado, and it's not the toughest opponent. But Seattle kind of was like, hey, y'all remember us? Like we ran this for many years. We just won CONCACAF Champions League. Like last year's MLS performance this season was not an indication of what Seattle is. And obviously losing João Paulo throughout the year, or for the year rather, because of that injury he suffered in that CCL final. They just looked like, hey, we're just gonna run right through everybody every chance we get. And their approach is so, like, I love Brian Schmetzer's energy. I love their approach to the game. Like they're like, yo, we back. Like, and I just want everybody to know that we're back. So there was a lot of good stuff in week 1, but those ones stood out to me. And then of course my Revs going to Charlotte and stealing one right at the end. They didn't look that good either, but 3 points is 3 points, man.
Yeah, I didn't get to catch that game, but yeah. No, you're right. To me, the one game I really wanted to watch was the Philly game, Philly versus was it the Columbus Crew. Yeah, it was pretty even for most of the part for most of the game that I was watching, and then just Philly ended up obviously overpowering and showing its dominance, and it was interesting to see because they're one of the teams that everybody expects them to finish strong this year. And to me too, they're such a strong team. And you're right. Seeing what Seattle did last night, it just like, not that we forgot, but like we were like, okay, yeah, they're probably gonna have, they're probably gonna finish at the top for sure. Like, gonna be up there. And look, what does that mean for the Austins? What does that mean for LAFC, LA Galaxy? Like, because we still haven't seen the LA teams go at it. Or this next week's gonna be our first test of what they have. And everybody, all the players that play here, they got a taste of what to expect, out there from some of these teams. I'm just observing certain things. And Jerussi, for Austin FC, scored that wonderful goal. He's still doing magical things. And one thing that really stood out to me that I wasn't even paying attention. I didn't realize Manuel Reynoso was not. He's boycotting the team, or there's some drama going there that he's not showing up.
MIA right now.
Yeah. I didn't know that because just keeping up with the teams here. And I was hearing on 360 show, he's like, he's not there. And I was like, what happened? What's going on? I'm assuming he wants to move. I don't know what's going on, but typically when your star player doesn't show up, it's not a good thing. So we'll see what happens with that.
And add that to the fact that they got to win without him.
Yeah.
That shout out to the MLS wrap-up show too, which is something that is pretty cool. It's kind of just like a highlight, kind of sort of a highlight reel with a little bit of analysis of the games and the goals and stuff like that. But they got to win. And they were discussing the fact that, like, when your team gets off to a start like this, right, and you get a win, maybe not kind of expecting to, your star player is gone, like, as long as this lingers, they're not going to want to welcome back into the locker room. And it's true. Like, hey, we're maybe not expected to be that good because our star player is gone. We get this win in week 1. And if we could build some momentum early and he tries to come back and be like, hey, you know what, I'm back. Like, I'm sure that he has a lot of friends on the team. They might want to, but like that messes up with chemistry. So yeah, it's it's such an MLS storyline, but I love it. And here's one thing: not California, New York has 2 teams, Texas has 3 teams, and they all lost this week. 0-5 between Texas and New York. The Red Bull lost. NYCFC looked awful against Nashville. Dallas lost to Minnesota United. Austin lost to St. Louis. And who am I forgetting? Houston. Houston lost to whoever the hell they were playing because I didn't watch much of that game, but they lost that game too. So there's a stat for you. And then California, I guess, didn't win either because we didn't play. So
yeah, we didn't play. Well, San Jose lost to Atlanta. San Jose lost to Atlanta. That was crazy. Yeah, no, it was an insane week. Yeah, my big takeaway of all this, I'm finally gonna be able to catch up, watch as many games I think this year than I was in previous year, just because we have everything under one roof, and it's exciting times for us, exciting times for the MLS. I can't wait to see, by the end of the year, or, by year 2 or year 3 of MLS Season Pass, how this product grows and everything. Look, the World Cup is just around the corner here. What 2026 when we have the World Cup, by that time I'm assuming this product is going to get even better. And we have so many things going on this year. We got Leagues Cup this summer. We LAFC has CONCACAF Champions Leagues here in a couple of weeks. So many games, the July 4th, which we were talking about. So many things going on, international break. So there's gonna be a lot of footy that we're gonna be watching, a lot of soccer. I think to me it's an exciting time, and yeah, we'll see how this continues to go. Any final words before we wrap this thing up?
Nah, I think like I mentioned earlier, I think everything was pretty well done for week 1. A round of applause to everybody involved and included in all that stuff. I think the one thing I would like to see that I think Apple is kind of like not open to right now because of the 360 show is being able to have multiple games on the screen. So maybe have like a quad box and have 4 games. I know ESPN Plus used to do that a lot back in the day with college football. I know they're probably thinking that's going to take away from the 360 viewers and the experience, but I think that, like you said, people that have multiple setups, like somebody like me who has usually 2 TVs going, I would put the quad box on one and then put 360 in another. That way you have an eye on a few more games in real time. But, they're probably going to see how people are perceiving that. I have asked people in Apple that a few times, and they've kind of like, we have nothing to share about that. So maybe it's something in the works, or maybe it's something they're just going to wait and see. So that's 1. 2, I want to see how LAFC's opener is covered, because they have obviously plans of, the banner, the championship banner, and they sent the email, make sure people get in early so you could see, players getting their rings and things like that. It's going to be a celebration for LAFC against Portland this weekend. I want to see, hopefully they do cover that on Apple and they show a decent amount, because one thing I did see people complaining about, and I kind of thought too, is like they did pan to commercials a lot of times before the games in certain moments where it would have been cool for him to stay, particularly in Charlotte. They were doing a tribute for Anton Walks before the game, and they kind of went to commercial like right after or right before the national anthem or something like that. And I was like, man, a moment like that, where it's obviously for an awful, devastating thing, but like to be able to stay in stadium and kind of see all that would have been pretty dope. So I feel like that little bit of space in the pregame is cool, for opportunity for them to kind of do certain things. But like I said, all in all, man, it's been dope. And wow, we're finally here. I think we're going to be able to see LA teams play soccer this weekend. Who knows? We'll have to TBD on that. But hopefully it stops raining by the weekend so LAFC can host Portland and we can get these things going, man. But nah, man, it's dope. It's dope. It's a great first week. It's going to be a great season. I'm excited. And yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, no, it's going to be great. It's going to be a great year. I already feel it. So much going on, so much soccer to watch this season. I'm excited for it. So that's going to wrap things up. Andy, I appreciate you, my brother, for always hopping on. Guys, thank you guys for listening. Make sure to hit that subscribe button. We'll catch you guys